Hello YouTube, this is Free Home Brew, here to bring you a video on how I parse. My internet died a while ago and I didn't know anything about parsing. I didn't have any references to parsing, any reference material, so I could look it up. And I thought, well, I don't understand it, so let's do this. Let's take up this challenge and try and make sense of things in the world of parsing. So this is me basically reinventing that wheel for a millionth time. It's been done better, so yeah, but this is going to be my take on it, and it certainly has a lot of overlap with what is already out there. So I'm by no means an expert, but maybe you'll learn something from this video. I'm using GIMP and my tablet, so it's not the most fancy piece of equipment, but here we go. Also, I don't have a script, so it's going to be me rambling about parsing. I'm going to parse expressions, just regular mathematical expressions, which consist of numbers, operators, binary operators, plus, times, division, and minus, and parentheses. So that's going to be the extent of the expressions I'm going to be parsing. So it's still a work in project. It's still a work in process. Yeah, progress, and I'm going to be extending this heavily. Let's get into parsing the abstract sense. So I've got this expression over here: 1 plus 2 times 3, and I'm going to need to make sense of this in two ways. Namely, I want to evaluate this to a number, and I want to know if the syntax is correct. To evaluate this to a number, I first need to know if the syntax is right. So I'm going to be parsing this. The first thing I'm going to encounter while parsing this is this 1 over here. So I'm going to denote the 1 over here. The next thing I'm going to be encountering is this plus. And to see if this plus fits the syntax, I'll need to see if the left hand side of the plus fits the syntax and the right hand side makes sense syntax wise. So the left hand side the left hand side already makes sense. The right hand side doesn't, because what we encountered in the right hand side is just a left parenthesis, and that doesn't make sense yet. So whenever I encounter a left parenthesis, I'll be like, well, let's just go looking for the right hand side of the right parentheses, because if there's no right parenthesis, this part won't make sense at all, regardless of what's in between. So yeah, as soon as I find the right parenthesis, I'm going to be like, wow, hey, this part makes sense now. What's in between has to make sense as well. So I'm going to be going to try and make sense of this part in between. What's in between is this 2 and this times and this 3. So to make sense of this, I'm going to be parsing this the same way I've parsed everything else. So it's recursive, as you can probably tell by now. First thing I'm going to encounter over here is this 2, and the 2 makes sense. So it's a number. The 3 and the times operator is next, and this one only makes sense if its left hand side and its right hand side makes sense. So the left hand side already makes sense, it's 2. The right hand side doesn't make sense yet, because I don't know what the right hand side is. Well, it's a 3, and because the 3 makes sense in the syntax way, in the syntax sense, the entire times operator now makes sense, because times always takes a number times another number. So this is correct in terms of syntax. So I'm going to feed this back to the parentheses and tell it, well, this makes sense. And the parentheses are all going to be like, well, I'm making sense on the outside, I'm making sense on the inside. So let's feed that back to the plus operator to the left. And the plus operator now also makes sense, because its left hand side makes sense, it's just a 1, and its right hand side makes sense because it's the parentheses. The parentheses are in green, sorry. So, and we can denote this as a 3. We can write this as a 3 because the plus branches off into this 1 over here. Sorry for the bad handwriting. It's also because I'm kind of hasty, and the points it takes are far and in between. So this is the parentheses, which branches more or less into the times operator, which branches into this 2, and which branches into this 3. So now we've got it parsed. We know it makes sense in the sense that its syntax is correct. To evaluate this expression, we'll need to evaluate the 3. So to evaluate the 3, we need to evaluate this plus. And to evaluate the plus, we'll first need to know what's on the left hand side and the right hand side. So the evaluation of the left hand side is just this 1. And the evaluation of this bracket thing, these parentheses, is whatever this will evaluate to. And whatever this will evaluate to is its left hand side times its right hand side. And the left hand side evaluates to 2, and the right hand side evaluates to 3. So the evaluation of this part now will work, because now we've got 2 numbers we can operate upon. So 2 times 3 times 3 is 6. So this thing evaluates to 6. So these parentheses evaluate to 6. And now the plus operator can be evaluated to 1 plus 6 equals 7. Damn it, 7. And that's basically what I did. So that's basically what I made in Python. So I feed this string, I'll turn it into tokens. I can feed to a parsing part, so to check the syntax, and from the syntax I can get the evaluation to a value. So yeah, I hope this makes sense. I am by no means an expert yet, but I'm working on it. Feel free to ask questions, and if you're an expert or not, feel free to correct me whenever I'm wrong, because you know, I'm just a noob without reference material. So maybe maybe I'm doing something extremely, maybe I'm in extreme error somewhere. But this is what I made in Python. So the next video will be on the implementation of this part. I'll show you a few previews. These are the tokens. This is what I use to parse. This is the tokenizer. Feel free to pause at any point, because you know, source code and whatnot. I'm gonna explain all this in the next video. The upcoming videos. This is gonna be a series probably. Yeah, I also want to note that this is all part of the large project I announced in the update video. So I'm going to be parsing natural languages, and from the parsing part I'll be writing MIDI files. So I'm going to take a natural language, write a text in it, and the text will be parsed and evaluated to a MIDI file, and the MIDI file will be music to fit the text. So if you write a creepy story, you write it in such a way that it will evaluate to a creepy tune. So that's basically the bigger project to this. So I hope you all learned something from this, and if you like this, like it and comment, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.